The Mormon Church is one of the wealthiest churches in the country, and many believe Mormons would establish a theocracy if given the opportunity. Anson Shoup, a sociologist at the University of Texas at Arlington, has studied Mormonism, and he concludes that Mormonism has not lost its sense of being a persecuted people. Many secretly continue to talk about a time after the return of Christ when Latter-day Saints will rule and reign in America. In many ways, Mormonism has arrived. After World War II, they were one of the lowest ranking of all religious groups in the nation, according to education levels, incomes, and job status. Now, according to sociologists, they rank sixth in those categories, right behind Jews, Unitarians, Episcopalians, Presbyterians, and members of the United Church of Christ. Mormonism is mainstream middle America. The authors of The Mormon Corporate Empire, a book, point out that though Mormons constitute only 1% of the adult population of the United States, their impact on secular culture is nothing short of phenomenal. The book estimates the current wealth of the Mormon Empire conservatively $8 billion. And Mormonism isn't exactly sitting still. The LDS Church is the fastest growing sect in the United States. Mormon adherents worldwide number 5.7 as of 1985, 5.7 million as of 1985, and membership projects call for 12 to 14 million by the year 2000. In Latin America, Mormons are averaging 8,400 converts a month. Why? Well, for one thing, Mormonism offers a certitude. What is that certitude? What is the doctrinal philosophy that makes people feel so very comfortable? You're going to find out. Once again, a Mormonism update. We're going to be talking with Ed Decker and other individuals associated with Saints Alive, an ex-Mormons group, who are holding their annual conference in Park City, Utah. On the line with me, Ed Decker. Hi, Ed.
How you doing out there?
Well, I want to know what's going on Park City.
Well,
I've been with you folks before. You are a fired-up group. I tell you, you're a lively bunch when you get together.
Well, we're just right at the same spot that we were when you left us the last time, Bob, and where the sun is shining and people are just on fire. We just spent the night down in the streets of Salt Lake City as they prepared for the Pioneer Day Parade, which is their 4th of July celebration, their independence celebration.
Mm-hmm.
We worked the streets through the night and saw many people saved, thousands of them sleeping in the streets last night.
Why do you pick on these Mormons? I mean, okay, so you're a disgruntled lot that thinks Mormonism is wrong. Can't you guys just keep quiet, keep your peace, and go your way? These Mormons don't drink, they don't smoke, they're nice folks, they believe in the family, they're good, moral, upstanding citizens, they oppose abortion and the Equal Rights Amendment. They're good folks. Just leave them alone, Ed. Why hassle them?
Well, because they're going to hell, Bob, if we do. And we were on our way to hell when we were members of the church and doing the same things, all the good stuff, the family home evenings, the ward barbecues, and all the other good stuff. The fact of the matter is that we, as Mormons, believe that we had the only true church, and that we were required by God to lead people out of the Methodist and the Presbyterians and the Assemblies of God churches, to bring them away from the men and women who were actually hirelings of Satan, we taught, who were the pastors of these denominations. It was our job to lead them away from these people into the truth, and in reality, it's the Mormons who are deceived, and they need someone to love them enough to tell them that.
And there's some rather outstanding things regarding the Mormon Church I don't think most people know about. I heard recently, Ed, that of the 188 men who died 150 years ago in defense of the Alamo, that according to the LDS Church News, temple work and baptism for the dead, a bunch of Texans down at the Dallas Mormon Temple, some of whom were next of kin, actually underwent proxy baptism for people who died in the Alamo.
Well, listen, they baptized Martin Luther into the Mormon Church by proxy baptism, so why shouldn't they baptize the guys in the Alamo?
And the signers of the Declaration of Independence, I've heard.
Not only did they baptize the signers of the Declaration of Independence, but the signers of the Declaration of Independence appeared in the St. George Temple, visited the earth in spirit bodies, and asked and pleaded that they be baptized by proxy so they could become members of the Mormon Church. You see, over there where they are now, there's no water for baptism, so they have to do it here.
Okay. There was also a recent report concerning the Shuttle Challenger booster rocket. Are you familiar with that situation?
Yes, I am.
Jake Garn is U.S. Senator from Utah, is chairman of the committee that oversees the NASA budget. And apparently, the Challenger booster rocket that resulted in the January 28, 1986 accident that killed its crew of 7 that booster rocket was picked by a Mormon, and it was a Utah company that built it, offering a lower price at the time, and there's been some suggestion that there was Mormonism favoritism that took place here that may have resulted in the death of the astronauts. You have a comment on that?
Well, it's pretty hard to point a finger in that area, Bob, except to tell you that in Utah, Mormon favoritism abounds, and it is the way of life here. If you are a Gentile company, you're not going to have the success that a Mormon company would have. And yes, there are a lot of considerations made because a company or a product is LDS produced.
Okay, I have Daryl on the line, Santa Cruz, California. Daryl, what's your gripe?
Well, my gripe, first of all, is let's try and keep our conversation and the conversation you have with all the rest of us today on an honest level. And let's don't resort to innuendos like the Mormon Church had something to do with the Challenger disaster.
Well, now hang on for a minute, Daryl. Just cool your heels for a second. That was printed in a published story. I'm raising the issue because it's already been raised in the press, okay? I didn't make the allegation. I'm just quoting it.
Oh, I understand, Bob. And I also have talked to you guys several times. I'm also a Mason, and we talked about how in Florida there was one accusation in one newspaper about the Shriners misappropriating money, and immediately you got on the air. But now there's been hundreds of accusations against fundamentalist Protestant denominations misappropriating money, and you seem very reluctant to talk about that.
Well, then I tell you what we do. We've got the U.S. Postal Service, we've got the IRS, we've got the government down the backs of PTL, and rightfully so, investigating it. Let's put the government on the track of the Mormons. We're going to have a committee investigating on behalf of Congress, television evangelists later this year. They're going to call people like Swaggart and Roberts and others to testify. Let's call a committee on behalf of Congress to investigate the Mormons and the Masons, and let's call them to testify. All right? Let's do that. Let's get Ezra Taft Benson up there in front of Congress, and let's let him tell what goes on in secret ceremonies, all right? If we're going to ask Jimmy Swaggart how he spends his money, let's find out how the Mormon Church spends its money. Fair enough.
The only thing I was trying to encourage us to do here, Bob, was to be honest. And I have I've read so many things, and I've been hearing so much stuff that is dishonest. I was making an initial plea for honesty.
Okay, let's have a plea for honesty. Let's have Ezra Taft Benson in front of Congress testifying about what goes on behind the closed doors of your organization. If we're going to call Swaggart and Schuler and the rest of them before Congress, let's get your group there. Come on, let's do it.
I don't really understand. Are you suggesting that there's something dishonest or immoral going on in the Mormon Church?
Who's saying anything's going on dishonest with Jimmy Swaggart? He's willing to go before Congress.
I believe there's been a great deal of allegations being made, but that isn't really what I called you about. But I think there has been a great deal of allegations concerning Jimmy Swaggart, Jerry Falwell, and the Bakers, and I think you're aware of those. And
there are a lot of allegations. Read the Mormon Corporate Empire and see about the allegations against the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Plenty of allegations.
Well, there's it says in the book of Matthew 5:10, the blessed are those that are persecuted for righteousness' sake, and I believe that we are being persecuted by people like yourselves.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that, Ed Decker?
Well, I was asked by a Mormon official in front of one of the temples as I was handing out tracts. He came out and started screaming at me and said, "When are you going to start persecuting us?" And I said, "For heaven's sakes, you have 30,000 missionaries in the field. There's about 3 of us out here handing out tracts. If that's persecution, you've got your mind in warp."
Okay. Well, hey, Ed, do you feel any obligation to honesty?
What do you mean, do I feel any? I live my life in what I consider to be an honest relationship. What am I doing that's dishonest?
That's good. Dave Hunt, in his new book out, The Cult Explosion, I think you're aware of that. You're quoted in that as saying that Joseph Smith was a 32nd degree Mason. And I wrote to you and asked you if you had any proof, and your guy said, gee, I don't remember saying that. Do you have any proof now?
I don't remember saying that either, and I don't remember saying.
Oh, you're quoted on page 76 of that book as saying that by Dave Hunt. You're a liar.
The Browns have quoted Walter Martin as saying things that he never said also.
Okay, hey, I'm telling you where to find it in the book and where to find it. Now,
I said to him, and I said when someone asked me that a couple of years ago, it's not a new book, I said I don't remember saying that. Joseph Smith was an active Mason, as were the first 5 prophets of the Mormon Church. Brigham Young was an active member. John Taylor was an active member. Joseph Smith was raised to the the level of Master Mason. Within 24 hours, he was made a Mason on site, and there were 1,400 members of the Mormon Church who were members of the Masonic Lodge in Illinois, and it became a clandestine lodge because of the illegal methods in which they operated the Masonic Order.
However, what you said in the book was what
I didn't say anything in the book. I asked him to make a correction. I had never said that he was a 32nd degree Mason.
Okay, because he has you quoted that way, and when I wrote to him...
Well, you don't hear very well, do you?
Daryl, you hear what the man said. The bottom line, Daryl, is a connection between Mormonism and Masons, yes or no?
Oh, absolutely. All of the early members of the church were Masons. There's no problem with that.
And is there a connection in the ritualism?
None at all.
None at all?
None at all?
I am a 32nd degree.
Did you put your foot to foot and knee to knee and hand to back and mouth to ear and with the maha bone?
Is bore us to death with these things. But
bore you to death with it.
Answer the question, Daryl.
What I'm trying to tell you is there is no connection between the two.
That's nonsense, and you know it if you're a Temple Mormon. That is absolute nonsense.
Hey, there is as much connection between Mormonism and Masonry as there is between the Baptists and Catholics. Both
the
of them
Catholics
use
and the
a
Baptists
cross,
put their
and if you
thumb
both
to their
use the
throat
same
and swear an
symbology, it
oath.
does not mean that you are...
Whoa, Daryl, listen to what the man's saying. To do what, Ed?
I said to the Baptists, you're saying there's no connection except as with the Baptists and the Catholics? The Catholics and the Baptists don't go into secret, wearing funny clothing in secret meeting rooms and put their thumbs to their throats, swearing blood oaths to have their throat slit from ear to ear or their chest ripped open or their belly ripped open and stick their hands in around people's bodies.
Here we go again.
Well, answer the charges, Daryl.
How can you say there's no relationship?
It's not done in the Mormon Church.
Nonsense.
You have been told that by Van Hale, by Forrest. You've been told that by reputable people.
I have participated in it. Don't tell me it's not being done.
You did not understand what you were doing.
I didn't understand what I was doing when I put my thumb to my throat.
I don't know what you know what you're doing at any time.
When you put your thumb to your throat in the Mormon temple, did you recognize that it was a Masonic symbol?
Like I was saying before,
Daryl, did you or didn't you? Did you put your hand to your throat in the Mormon temple? Did you or didn't you?
I won't answer you.
That man talks about honesty and he lies.
No, I'm not lying. I told you I won't answer it. That's a truthful answer. The thing
Daryl, you won't answer it because you know what the answer is, and you don't want to be in the position of calling down your own threat upon your own head.
If you ask me if I if I drank out of a human skull, I would tell you.
No. We're asking you about your hand to your throat.
Human skull.
Huh?
In the 30th degree of the Scottish Rite, you drank out of the...
That's a lie. Document it.
That's
a lie.
I document it.
That's a lie. Document it anywhere by anybody.
We're back to what you...
Out of the Masonic ritual book.
That's a lie. Show me anywhere. Quote the book and it's a lie. Tell me where.
Daryl, I'm asking...
Right out of the Masonic ritual book.
There is no such thing.
Of course there are. I have them in my library, too.
You lie through your teeth.
That is a lie.
Okay, Daryl, I got it.
California Grand Lodge does not have a ritual book. I don't know what you're talking about when you say the ritual book. Who published it?
Yeah, Ed?
I have a man sitting next to me who is not only a Mormon temple Mormon, he's also has been a 32nd degree Mason.
Okay, you have him right.
I can tell you from having done both whether or not this man is telling you the truth.
You hang on there, Daryl. I have a guy on the line. You have the name of Bill Sneblin. Bill? You right there for me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Ed is making some statement in regards to your background in Masonry?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mormonism, too, or just Masons?
No, both.
No, both. What about it?
Well, okay, I went through the Blue Lodge and the York Rite and the Scottish Rite and the Shrine, and following that, I joined the Mormon Church and was a Temple Mormon for 5 years.
You accept this, Daryl?
I'll take his word for it. I know he wrote a letter claiming that. I don't know if that's true or not.
Okay.
Well, I was initiated in Heartland Lodge number 122 in the Grand Lodge of the state of Wisconsin, passed and raised in 1976, and the rest of it was all in the valley of the state of Milwaukee.
So what about Ed's accusations and what Daryl is saying to refute it?
Well, I didn't. We're only on two lines here, so I'm not exactly sure. But if you're discussing the skull thing, yes, that is part of 30th degree. And if Daryl, have you actually gone through the 30th degree?
Absolutely.
I mean, have you seen the ritual?
I've participated in it, and I also played the devil's instrument. Bob, you ought to love that, the bagpipe for the lodge, yes.
What do you mean the devil's instrument?
Well, it's called by the Scottish Kirk, the instrument of the devil, and it was prescribed by a penalty of death, anybody playing the bagpipe in Scotland in ancient times. So I thought I know you're against modern music, so I thought you'd be interested to know your cousins of the past were against ancient music.
Give me a break, Daryl. Come off it. Okay, well, go ahead, Bill.
Well, my point was, first of all, I don't know where this fellow's calling from.
California.
Okay.
You drank from a skull?
Yes.
Did you, Bill?
Yes. Okay, he is in the Southern Masonic jurisdiction.
We're going to make... Oh, I see. And you're going to say now that you were in a northern jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are different jurisdictions,
yes,
and they do have different
different
ceremonies.
But I would just suggest that a lot of people, and I'm not obviously saying that you're a liar, Daryl, but a lot of Masons are told that they just should not. If people say, well, did you do this and that in the lodge? I was told to do this, just literally lie about it.
Okay, now I've never been told to lie, and I'm telling the truth, and I'm making a plea that this whole 2 hours be devoted to the subject of honesty here, Bill. And while you didn't say, or at least Ed didn't say that you were from the northern jurisdiction, now I don't know what they do in that jurisdiction. However, which is the largest jurisdiction in the world?
Excuse me, but let's get off this business about honesty. Daryl, don't you talk to me about honesty. When you tell us what you do behind those closed doors and those ceremonies, we'll talk about honesty.
I'll be glad to talk to you about
until you publicly confess what you do in those ceremonies. Button up about this honesty business.
I don't know what you want me to confess to, Bob.
I want you to tell what you do about your hand to your throat.
Okay, that's an interesting thing. If you had Ed Decker on, he's made the association that the two were similar. The Scottish, or the third degree of Masonry concerns the resurrection, and it's almost the whole point of the degree is that of resurrection. Now I'm not sure. But I'm not sure which part of Masonry he thinks Mormonism copied, but maybe he could tell us if that principle of resurrection is what's taught in the Latter-day
Saint. We have Bill there. Bill.
No, here's the thing. The resurrection that's taught in third-degree Masonry, the Abrahamic legend, is just a false copy of the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And there is no resurrection ceremony taught in the Mormon temple.
No, that's the point I wanted to make sure everyone hears.
No, you're missing the main point, though. One of the main criticisms that we as Christians have against both Masonry and the Mormon temple endowment is it involves oaths.
Okay, I'll be glad to talk to you about oaths.
Okay, and
what oaths have you uttered?
The Mormon penalties, there are something like 19 exact resemblances between what goes on in the Mormon temple and what goes on in the Masonic Lodge.
Daryl, what are the penalties? What are the oaths? What are they, Daryl?
In the Masonic Lodge...
No, let's talk about the Mormon temple. What are the oaths? What are the oaths?
You're mixing up your terms, Bob. Oaths or penalties?
Both. I'm asking about the oaths. What oaths do you take?
Okay, now, on what you're going to talk to me about...
I'm asking, just answer a question. What oaths do you take in the Mormon temple? Period. Question. Answer. What oaths do you take?
There are oaths that there are more than one.
Yes,
I mean, it's difficult for me to answer.
Give us one. Just give us one. We'll take one for right now.
Are you talking to Ed or me?
You, Ed. You, Daryl. Give us one of the oaths you take.
No, I can't because I have been.
Then don't talk to me about honesty.
I've promised. Hey,
forget this garbage of honesty.
I've promised, and I'm obeying what I understand Scripture to be, to not say that. I've sworn an oath not to tell those things, Bob.
Under what penalty?
There is no penalty in the church.
Is that right, Bill?
No, it isn't right, because both Brigham Young and many of the future prophets, and we also have Granny Gear here now, and I know she knows a lot more about blood atonement than I do, but the covenant breakers, Brigham Young, people who broke their covenants, were subject to death. They were subject to have their blood spilled out upon the ground. That was the only way they could be saved in Mormon theology, and that doctrine has never been revoked.
It was never theology. It was accepted, and people did it, but it was not ever our theology. You can't quote any Scripture to justify yourself.
Did they do it?
Yes, it was done.
What did they do, Daryl?
Now, see, again, ask your questions.
Well, let's get Granny. Hand the phone there to Granny. Let's see what Granny Gear has to say, author of the book, Mama, Mormonism, and Me. Hi, Granny.
Oh, boy.
Granny?
Okay.
Yeah, what about these blood oaths?
My great-grandfather, John D. Lee, was one of the Danites who helped to shed the blood of the Mormon apostates and others, those who'd taken vows in the Mormon temple.
What do they do?
They slit their throat. If they couldn't get close enough to them to cut their throat, they shot them with a gun or bludgeoned them to death.
Now, when was this? What period of history?
From 1870, maybe 1865 on, even earlier. I'm not sure.
Daryl, do you admit that happened?
I admit there were people murdered in that time frame.
And there was murder under the pretext of Mormonism and the directives of Brigham Young.
I deny that, and I don't. If you can give me maybe one name, that was committed by the Mormon Church. Now, you might mention John D. Lee but he was executed under the territorial laws. So maybe if you could give me one person that was executed for violating his oath of secrecy.
Well, I don't have any names right now, but I do have proof that it was being practiced over even in Nauvoo in Joseph Smith's time. In my book, I quote William Smith, the brother of Joseph Smith, and he said he had to leave Nauvoo in fear of his life because they were they were practicing polygamy and blood atoning, and he'd come out against it, and so he had to leave Nauvoo because of it.
I know. There were a lot of allegations made in those days, and I don't deny that. The only thing I'm saying is we don't have any records of that actually being done. Now, Bob, you were talking of penalties. In the Masonic Lodge, there are penalties. There's at least 32 penalties that I know of. So when you ask me for one particularly one, it's pretty tough for me to comment. Plus,
Well, how about being disemboweled and buried on the seashore? How about that one?
Oh, you're probably thinking there of what was talking about.
You know very well what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
in Jeremiah, probably.
No. You know what I'm talking about in the Masonic ceremonies. No.
You'll go to scriptures and look.
No. Get off that, Dale. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Don't you do that fudging.
Absolutely.
You know that is one of the penalties in Masonry. Disembowelment, is it not? Yes or no?
Ancient times that was.
Yes or no? I'm not talking Jeremiah. We're talking.
I talk about the scriptures.
Bill, answer the question. Answer the question.
I swore an oath not to talk about the penalties.
Hey, listen, I wouldn't talk about it either if I was afraid of being disemboweled. Granny, how far back do you go in Mormonism?
Well, I go back. I was born in Mormonism 71 years ago.
71 years ago?
40 years.
Pardon?
I've been studying Mormonism very, very avidly for 40 years, and I do have in my book proof that there was a man who was blood atoned.
I want to ask you, Granny.
Yes?
Did you wear that funny underwear?
No, I wouldn't wear it, but I used to wish that I could. Thought I'd never get to heaven if I couldn't get into a pair of that.
Well, why didn't you wear it?
I didn't get to go to the temple to be married to a Mormon man, so he'd resurrect me. Mormons believe even that Jesus and God the Father were married in Mormon temple rituals, and they had to wear those Mormon underwear just like the Mormon elders and their wives do today.
Mike in Denver. Mike?
How's it going there, hirelings of Satan?
What?
How's it going there, hirelings of Satan?
Who are you talking to?
Barth Lardstone.
Barth Lardstone.
That Granny?
What? Hang on for a minute.
You there, Granny?
Well,
You're an out-and-out liar.
Hang on, we can't. Granny's not on the right phone there. We can't hear. Are you there, Ed?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I got Ed here. Go ahead. I've got Ed there. Mike.
Granny.
Well, I'll tell you. Talk to her in a minute. Okay, turn your radio down in the background there, Mike. You're causing problems with us there.
Down a little bit.
Yeah. What's this hirelings of Satan business that you're calling us?
I listen to you all the time, Bob, so I know what you are. I know what you are. I'm not going to discuss it with you. You don't need to tell me what you are. I know what you are.
Is this guy some sort of a temple Mormon with the hireling of Satan bit here?
What are you, Mike?
I'm right now. I'm inactive.
Okay. What is your beef, Mike? What is your complaint?
I want to ask Granny where she got this hoopla about bloodletting in Salt Lake City.
You want to ask Granny about the bloodletting?
Let me talk to Granny.
Calm down, Granny.
Okay, here I am.
Yeah, she's there.
Where'd you get this hoopla?
Well, listen.
Where's this
Now,
documented?
Let me talk.
Yeah, you're talking.
My turn. Listen. Let me read to you. In 1958, Justin O.
Read to me
Larson.
from what?
What now?
He's professor of church history at Brigham Young University.
What
He
professor?
wrote,
Say his name again.
Justin O. Larson,
Justin
professor
O.
of
Larson.
church history at Brigham
The
Young
archaeologist?
University. He said, according to the report of reputable eyewitnesses, judgment was executed with consent of the offender, who went to his unconsecrated grave in full confidence of salvation through the shedding of his blood. Now, he wrote that Utah Historical Quarterly, January 1958, page 62. Now,
Okay.
then let me bring to your mind, too, that when Hoffman was being sentenced to life imprisonment, that his father insisted.
Oh, he was
Judge
sentenced
gives
Wait, just Mike.
He should be if he let somebody's blood.
Mike, shut up for a minute. Let the woman finish. She's a 71-year-old
I'm
grandmother.
not talking to you, Barth. You shut up.
Sir, look, I'm asking you to
I
be.
got you, sir.
I'm asking you to be respectful to this.
You and Oral Roberts and Jimmy Swaggart, right?
Will you let this woman
No,
speak?
Jimmy Baker.
Would you let this woman speak? Go ahead, Granny.
I need $150,000 for July. I'm going to go off the air. Oh, I wish you'd go off the air. I've been praying for you, too.
You know what you're doing, don't you? You're just using somebody else's time just to be foolish.
Yeah,
better
This is the baloney. That document you got is horse.
Well, listen,
Granny,
why
I've
didn't
shut
you
his
just
mic
leave
off.
it
Go ahead.
Time after time, right in the tabernacle.
Now, what was it?
Brigham Young said he'd rather cut a man. He'd just as soon cut a man's throat as to eat an apple.
Okay, now...
If you'll give me your name and address, I'll send you proof.
Okay, put me on hold, and I'll give you my name and address.
Okay, we'll do that in a moment. Now, the Hoffman thing, this is the gentleman who was recently convicted of the bombings in reference to the Salamander letters. Now, what is it you said about Mr. Hoffman who was convicted of murder, I guess, right? Granny?
Yes, of murder.
Yeah, and what was it you said about Hoffman?
The judge was giving him life imprisonment, and his father pleaded with him to give him death sentence and shed his blood so that his sins could be atoned.
Okay.
Well, that's baloney. His father
Section
doesn't
132
understand what's
of the
going on.
Doctrine and Covenants still commands the shedding of blood. It said if a person doesn't live up to the covenants, that they shall be destroyed.
Okay, Mike.
Well, you don't know what you're talking about. Ed Decker is excommunicated Mormon, so he certainly doesn't understand.
Now, wait a minute.
I told you twice what it means. There's no such covenant that says we're supposed to let blood. What it means is, if our life is being threatened, we will not even tell.
Ed?
That's what it means.
Two different things here, but the problem is
No,
that
not two different things. You don't understand it.
Mental disorder. If he would just keep his mouth closed long enough for someone to answer a question.
Why? I've got 100 points on the IQ scale over you, dude.
I'm going to shut his mic off. You speak, Ed.
There are two things that we're talking about here. First, we're talking about blood atonement, which dealt primarily in a theological position that the Mormon prophets taught that a man who commits a sin that requires blood to be spilled must have his blood spilt, and that the spilling of the blood is an offering up unto God to give him physical resurrection. That a murderer, an adulterer, an apostate in the early church could not go to heaven without having his blood spilt.
Okay, now I turn your mic back on, for your telephone line back on, Mike, if you want to make a final statement.
Where did he say he got that from?
Brigham Young, John Taylor, the History of the Church, the Journal of Discourses, the writings, the Discourses of Brigham Young, the writings of numerous Mormon officials, the writings of Bruce R. McConkie, the writings of many...
said we should let blood of secrets are divulged?
He wasn't even talking about that. We were talking about two different things here, and I isolated this as the blood atonement discussion. I'm talking about the many, many men, women, and children who died with their blood being spilt in the early days of the church, and the doctrine that still exists today in the Mormon Church theologically. When you see Gilmore, when he was
that's Gary Gilmore, the mass murderer.
He pleaded that his blood that he be shot, so that his blood be spilt, so that it could atone for him. The man Hoffman, whose father pleaded that his blood be spilt so that he can atone for his murder, because they believe that he cannot be resurrected even without that taking place.
Okay, Mike, final statement. I got to go.
Mike, we believe that if we don't follow the commandments and try to live a righteous life and accept Jesus Christ as our Savior, that he's going to make us suffer even as he had suffered.
Okay. Is that it, Mike?
But,
Mike, is that it?
One more thing.
Quick.
Only an ex-Mormon or a non-Mormon would believe such hocus-pocus as there was blood let in the streets of Salt Lake City because somebody divulged the secrets in a temple.
Okay, Ed, a quick answer to that?
Then you must have some of the weirdest prophets, and you must have your brain out to lunch to have people sit there and listen to your prophets and your officials talk about this as a holy doctrine. I don't know where your mind is when you say that this is a wonderful church and that this is not a doctrine of the church when it is a doctrine of the church.
Mormonism offers certitude, a sense of knowing what is really going on in the world, where things are really headed. Wade Clark Roof, who teaches sociology of religion at the University of Massachusetts, says, quote, "The Mormons have a fantastic future because they found the proper mix of discipline, loyalty to community, strict standards, and tools for regulating behavior," end of quote. While Mormonism does raise little serious theological questions, the church as a whole leaves room for doubt. It concretely explains its belief about where people come from, why they're here, and where they're going when they die. They offer certitude that theirs is the only church. But is it biblical? As we said before, so I say now again, if any man preach any other gospel unto you than that which you've received, let him be accursed. For though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed. We're talking about another Jesus. Another Jesus that is not God Creator from eternity past God. This is the real issue. Who is Jesus? Some of you don't even know Jesus. we'd like to help you. And if you'll write me, we'll share that information.
This is the end of Side 1. Please turn the cassette over at this point for the continuation of the message on Side 2.
Our topic today, Mormonism Update, the latest in what's going on in Mormonism. Part of the program coming to you live from the Ex-Mormon Saints Alive Convention out in Park City, Utah. The influence of Mormonism is pervasive in ways the public may not imagine. For example, the LDS Church owns one of the 3 largest private satellite video networks in the world. They are the largest religious media operator in the world. Brigham Young University is the largest privately owned university in the United States, and the LDS Church is the single largest ranching enterprise in America. And in case you didn't know it, both the CIA and the FBI recruit heavily among Mormons, and the Reagan administration has employed more Mormons than any other administration. Latter-day Saints zealously follow the Book of Mormon. Church President Ezra Taft Benson has said, quote, "The Book of Mormon must be enthroned in the minds of our people," end of quote. Benson admonishes the church that any LDS failures result from the judgment of God because they've not adequately embraced the Book of Mormon. He's fond of reminding Mormons that founder Joseph Smith Jr. said this apocryphal volume is the most correct of any book on earth. Now, there is some dissent in the church. There is a branch of Mormons dedicated to a more liberal interpretation of the church's teachings. Known as the Sunstone Theological Symposium, it boasts about 1,000 members. One of its adherents, a Mormon psychiatrist, has retrospectively analyzed church founder Joseph Smith Jr., concluding that his polygamous wives and his views regarding polygamy stem from a fear of castration. Sounds like a Freudian psychologist. He says that Smith had as many as 60 wives because he had a mother complex, making him dependent on women. I tell you, if you had 60 wives, you certainly would be dependent upon women. Yeah, that'd be a little crazy too, I think. Well, we're talking about Mormonism today, hearing from ex-Mormons as well as Mormons. Now, many ex-Mormons argue that Mormonism is ancient paganism revived under Christian labels. They suggest that the idea of godlike immortality fostered by mystery religions during the early Christian era is being resurrected by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. A key Mormon belief justifying this conclusion is the idea that Satan, as a brother of Jesus, shaped the plan whereby people could become gods by deliberately tempting Adam and Eve to eat of the forbidden fruit. Now, Mormons do enforce some admirable standards among their constituency. They emphasize old-fashioned American values such as hard work, family, education, and self-reliance. Their extensive social network reinforces those beliefs as well as church doctrine. They follow some tough rules, including no coffee, cigarettes, or alcohol. In short, Mormonism convinces its followers that they'll have a better life here and the potentiality of godhood in the future. Mormonism espouses profound political power. For example, in Nevada, they comprise just 6.9% of the population. But when people in Nevada were polled regarding the Equal Rights Amendment, 71% opposed it. Jim Richardson, University of Nevada sociologist, has studied Mormonism, and he says of LDS political power, it's a pretty awesome machine. Well, politics isn't the issue. The issue is authority. The prophet and president of the Mormon Church speaks with an authority that's not known in other theological circles. For example, in a speech given to Brigham Young University, November 16, 1980, Church President Ezra Taft Benson said at that point, quote, listen to this, "The prophet is the only living man who speaks for the Lord in everything. The prophet will never lead the church astray. The prophet can receive revelation on any matter, temporal or spiritual. The prophet and the presidency follow them and be blessed, reject them and suffer." Strong words. Well, I reject them. So what kind of condemnation do I, Ed Decker, and the rest of these folks fall under? According to church records, 1986, Mormon missionaries won to the church 216,210 converts. In 1986, they placed 2,911,916 copies of the Book of Mormon in homes. Obviously, they're doing their job. Bob in Grand Rapids, thank you for being very patient and waiting. What's on your mind, Bob?
Oh, listen, Bob, I don't want to be hostile with you. I am a Latter-day Saint, and I've heard you on previous shows question people on saying that they don't believe in the same Jesus as you believe in.
That's correct, yes.
And I don't understand where you're coming from on this.
Who have I got here? Bill Sneblin?
Yes.
Yeah, what about this argument that it's a different Jesus, Bill?
Well, the Mormon Jesus is not the Jesus of the Bible. The Mormon Jesus is a Jesus who is not the God. He is just a God. He is the spirit brother of Lucifer. He was begotten by a sexual act between Elohim the Father and Mary, contrary to what the Bible says in Matthew, where it says that he was begotten by an overshadowing of the Holy Ghost.
Okay, you made quite a few accusations there,
yes,
Bob.
You sure did. That's simply not true. Yes, we believe Jesus Christ is the very eternal Father of heaven and earth, and that he is a member of the Godhead in a different light than what you would in the Trinitarian point of view.
Okay, listen.
But
is he a God or is he the only God?
He is a God.
Okay, there are other gods.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a quotation here from Bernard P. Brockbank, who is a General Authority Emeritus of the Mormon Church, and he says, "It is true that many of the Christian churches worship a different Jesus than is worshipped by the Mormons or the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints," unquote.
I won't dispute that. But then there's a wide ranges of churches in this country, and he didn't name any specifically. I mean,
well, the point is, Bob, is that there are literally hundreds of Christian creeds down through the centuries, and all of these creeds have said that Jesus Christ is the only begotten Son of God, that he is God in the flesh.
We believe that.
No, you believe that Jesus is a God in the flesh, and there is a big difference because there's only one God.
Well, we believe they are one in the sense that they are one in purpose.
So
they are one.
What about the means by which he was begotten?
Okay. Now he quoted the verse in. I don't have my scriptures in front of me, but he.
Well, was he the brother of Lucifer?
Let me answer one question at a time. All right. He quoted Matthew. In Luke, there's another account of the same thing. It says the Holy Spirit would come upon Mary, and
did God have sex with Mary?
No, not in the literal sense. Like we don't know how it happened, and we don't say he had sex with Mary. No, that's not church doctrine.
I sat about 4 years ago in a general meeting of the stake of the Milwaukee stake of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and heard Elder Derek Cuthbert, who's a member of the Quorum of the 70, stand there and say that Jesus was begotten by an act of sexual relations between God the Father and Mary.
That's not church doctrine.
Okay. Let me have Bruce R. McConkie, who is the leading theologian of the Mormon Church before his death. He was an apostle, and he says here in Mormon Doctrine, page 742, he says, "Christ was born in the world as a literal son of this holy being," meaning God the Father. "He was born in the same personal, real, and literal sense that any mortal son is born to a mortal father. There is nothing figurative about his paternity. He was begotten, conceived, and born in the normal and natural course of events."
We're talking about God with a physical body having sexual intercourse with Mary.
Yes.
Yeah. Bob the Mormon in Grand Rapids. I didn't mean that degradingly. I mean, you are a Mormon. So how do you respond to that?
Well, first of all, it did not say God the Father had sex with her. I mean, you read that in
polite. He's not going to say that, but this is what it says. He was begotten, conceived, and born. I mean, you can't be any plainer than that without using,
Could I read something to you?
Sure.
I'm reading from the first chapter of Luke, the 31st verse, in the King James Version.
Yeah.
Okay, and it said, "The angel answered and said unto her, The Holy Ghost shall come on thee, and the power of the highest shall overshadow thee. Therefore also that the holy thing which shall be born of thee shall be called the Son of God." I mean, that's what we believe, and that's basically what...
No, that's not what he said. That's not what he just read.
Oh,
No. There's a big difference between that and what the man read. You're embarrassed by what the man said, so you're trying to get around
sir,
it.
I am not embarrassed at what he said.
Well,
I am not.
you're not embarrassed at him saying that God has sex with the Virgin Mary?
He did not. And if he would have had sex with the Virgin Mary, she wouldn't be a virgin. We believe that she was a virgin. Now, in the sex that the way we have it, we don't say that. Bruce McConkie didn't say that, and you're reading that there. We don't even know how that happened, and no one does.
Yes, yeah, but you see, the Holy Ghost is a different God, okay, in Mormonism. He is not the same as God the Father.
Well, I know this.
Yes.
I mean, that he's part of the Trinity.
Does God...
He's part of the Godhead.
Yeah, Bob, I want to ask you, Bob, does God have sex in heaven?
I don't know, Bob. I really don't know.
Oh, come on now. You know what the church says about that, Bob. Come on now. Does
No.
God have wives in heaven?
We believe God has a wife in heaven.
How many? How many?
We do not know.
How many do you suspect?
I really wouldn't want to speculate what my Father in heaven, how many
You
wives
wouldn't? Well, I will.
Okay,
None. Zero. Bill?
Let me ask you a question, Bob.
Yeah.
Is Jesus Christ the Son of God? Is Jesus Christ the Son of God?
So what's the setup here? Of
Okay,
course,
the
you know the
setup
answer.
is this. How can you have a son without a mother? How can you have children without a mother?
Because the difference between you and me is that he always was God, and it's part of the divine mystery of the Godhead that I don't try to explain away by getting kinky sex into it among the gods on other planets. Yeah, you get kinky sex of gods on other planets. You get the gods fooling around and messing around up here, and you get Joseph Smith with 60 wives down here. I'd be embarrassed by that, Bill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. There are so many passages that Orson Pratt in the Seer, he was an apostle in the past of the Mormon Church, and he talks about that there are the fleshly body of Jesus required a mother as well as a father. Therefore, the father and mother of Jesus, according to the flesh, must have been associated together in the capacity of husband and wife. Hence, the Virgin Mary must have been, for the time being, the lawful wife of God the Father. Now, here's the problem. According to Mormon doctrine, Mary is God's daughter. So God was having incest, was performing an incestuous act to produce Jesus.
You're saying this again. I mean,
this is what Orson Pratt said.
I know what Orson Pratt said. I'm familiar with that. And Orson Pratt said a lot of things. And then again, Orson Pratt, that is not doctrine. That's his...
You mean Orson Pratt is a false teacher?
No, I didn't say it was false, and I said it was Mormon doctrine.
Bill, establish who Orson Pratt is.
Orson Pratt was one of the 12 apostles at the time of Joseph Smith and at the time of Brigham Young. He was one of the leading theologians of the first generation of the Mormon Church.
I'm well aware who he is, and also that what I'm saying is that's not Mormon doctrine, and I'm not saying that is not false, what you just read, but the way that you are saying it, the way you are interpreting it, is making it out to something that it isn't, and you do that all the time, and I didn't want to argue with you, but you know, that's the problem. When you call on the show, Bob, you don't give me a chance. I listen to you all the time.
Let me tell you, you have more chance in my show than I do getting inside your temple.
Well, that's true, Bob, but you could get inside our temple if you wanted to.
Oh, on your rules?
Well, of course.
Sure.
Of course.
You're not going to tell me what goes on behind those closed doors unless I play by your rules.
That would be correct, but they're not our rules. They're our Heavenly Father rules.
Well, that's a semantic cop-out. The point is...
No, that is not.
Well, you name me a show underwritten by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints where I can get on and speak my mind as an evangelical Christian. There isn't one.
Well, I don't know of a show, but if you were in our area, we'd have a group that would listen to you for sure that are Mormons. No problem. I'm sure you would have no problem debating with Mormons inside their buildings, maybe even. That would be no problem.
Look, I don't agree with Mormonism, but I think I'm more than fair than paying for the phone call and letting you speak up to defend your position.
Okay, I'm just saying that you are attacking the Mormons here. I don't know.
Attacking? What is attacking?
You're lashing out. In other words, your tone of your voice.
Come on now, Bob. Let's be serious. You have God with a bunch of wives, copulating in heaven, populating planets. You've got Jesus as the brother of the devil himself. You've got secret ceremonies.
Okay,
you wear
occult
symbolic underwear, and you expect me to sit here and pat Mormons on the back and not expose the perfidy for what it is. Listen, you people have multi-million-dollar campaigns with public relations deceiving the public. You bring your colored books into people's homes. You don't tell them the truth about the rest of this silly doctrinal stuff. I'm here trying to say, hey, the Mormons are not giving you the straight scoop. They're giving you a PR job, and don't you believe it until they let you look behind the closed doors. That's all I'm trying to say is you're not being honest.
Okay, you just touched on a bunch of subjects, and you gave a little bit of information to twist.
Did I lie? Did I lie? Did I lie? Do you wear symbolic underwear?
Yes, we do. But you did not lie in any of the instances. I didn't say you lied. I said you just didn't tell the whole story.
Well, no, you wear underwear. You wear special, sacred underwear.
Do you wear underwear, Bob? I mean, let's be serious. I mean,
excuse me, Bob. I do not wear underwear to which an amulet fetish significance has been attached with symbols on it. So come on, tell the people about the symbols on your underwear.
Oh, I choose not to, Bob.
Oh, you chose not to. Well, you want to know? I'm wearing jockeys. They're white and they have a little red stripe in them. Okay, that's my underwear. You tell me about yours.
Well,
size 32.
I choose not to.
I don't choose not to. I got nothing to hide about my underwear. Why do you want to hide it? Why do you want to hide your underwear? I got my underwear before the public. Let's get yours out there.
No, the point I was trying to make.
I'm making it a point. There's a doctrinal point. I'm not trying to be silly here. You have a spiritual significance tied to that underwear that you believe will protect and preserve your life because you got certain coded symbols on it.
Only by your adherences to the gospel. So in other words, it's through your faith in Jesus Christ and living the gospel. The garments have no power.
Then don't wear them. Then don't wear them. Ed, tell us about the underwear.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I just had a major battle in Arizona because I mentioned that Governor Meekum wore that underwear.
Oh, really?
And to me, having worn it for 20 years myself, it's a very sacred thing. It's an oath-binding thing that comes from the body washings and anointings in the Mormon temple, where your body parts are washed and anointed with water and oil. And then they give you this underwear and told that it is your protection against the destroying one, during your time on this earth. And that of course, I'm an old guy, and I back in the days that we were doing that stuff, we were told to wear it 24 hours a day. And this was even in moments of intimate relations with our wives, that we were to wear it, that it was our protection. And some of the more fanatics of us would actually shower and stand on our undergarment in the shower, wash and then dry ourselves off, and then reach out and then put on our our other pair of clean undergarment, so that we would never have it disconnected from our body.
That's an incredible story. This is a Mormonism update. Eric is on the line in Salinas, California. Thanks for waiting, Eric.
Hopefully you'll show enough respect to let me speak without interrupting me. First of all, your friend Ed Decker made a comment at the first of the show that the Mormons' 4th of July is on the 24th, and kind of tried to set the idea that maybe Mormons don't celebrate the 4th of July. That all people, even ones that aren't Mormons, realize that yes, Mormons are patriotic, and they just happen to have the biggest fireworks display in the nation down in Provo on the 4th of July, and that's an out-and-out lie.
Ed? Yeah, are you there, Ed?
Yeah, I have a hard time hearing him, Bob. I think he was saying that we were lying about Pioneer Day or something.
Well, that's...
Your comment wasn't Pioneer Day. Your comment was that the Mormons celebrate the 4th of July on the 24th, and that's a bunch of garbage. They celebrate the 4th and the 24th, and other states also celebrate their state holiday, sir.
I'll correct myself on that, because I'm sitting here in the middle of the 24th of July holiday here, where all of Utah is closed down for it. And having lived in Utah, educated in Utah, and having many friends in Utah, this is and I've been here for the 4th of July also. The flavor of the 4th of July is about 1/25th of the flavor of the 24th of July here, and it's the whole area goes bonkers. We see the close down of all the businesses and the banks, and even the church office building closes down, and we see people sleeping in the streets like Mardi Gras here. It's a total. What do you mean, bull?
Well, hang on. Now you're saying bull. I don't quite understand what the point is of saying bull here. Okay. Now what is it?
Tried to put in this
fly message at the first to kind of give this idea that Mormons don't celebrate the 4th of July. Tell me why the biggest firework display in the nation on the 4th of July is down in Provo, broadcast all over WTBS for the whole nation to see. If they don't celebrate,
fireworks display in the United States.
And they're all over the nation, and they're out lighting fireworks, and they're celebrating the 4th of July just like everybody else.
Okay. So Mormons are patriotic, Eric. Okay?
But the point is, that shows his bias that he would even make an unfair statement like that.
What bias? I don't know. What's the point, Eric?
I mean, that right there shows the man's uncredible. Right at the first of the show.
Well, of course he's biased against the church because he's been in the church and he feels was deceived by the...
He can at least be truthful about it.
Ed, I don't know what the problem is.
I don't know what the problem is either. I was down in the city streets until 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, watching the revelers and preaching to people and praying for people, the drunks and the partiers and so forth.
It's wrong to pray for drunks. I think Bob would probably pray for drunks too, wouldn't you, Bob?
He didn't say it was... Eric,
what I'm saying is that I just, I made a statement based upon an eyewitness account of something that is so significant, downtown Salt Lake, Utah, Mormon.
Yeah, it's we're celebrating our statehood.
Listen, I just watched on television a little while ago, because I wasn't down there for the parade this morning. I just watched the Brigham Young supporting the Constitution float.
Sure.
What a joke. They had to send the army here to get the guy straightened out.
What are you talking about?
They had to send in the army to straighten out the polygamy in the state of Utah and massacres
that he had going against the government of the United States. And they have a float down Main Street saying that
Sir, Mormons, like most conservatives, believe that the Constitution was inspired. That's a fact, and you know that.
Oh, now, wait a minute. Now, you just walked into that one, Eric, because I think Ed can tell you about what Mormons believe concerning the inspiration of the Constitution. Ed?
The Mormons believe that the Constitution was an inspired document just like the Bible. They believe that the Constitution, as we know it, will hang by a thread, as according to Ezra Taft Benson, who hopefully...
No. You show me anywhere in Mormon doctrine where it says that. It bubbled up from the members, not from doctrine from the church.
It came out of the mouth of your holy prophet, and either your holy prophet is speaking for God, as he says, or he is a liar, a false teacher, and a deceiver of men.
Find it for me.
Find what for you?
I don't think he ever said that.
You know, when a man...
The Constitution is a holy banner, and it's inspired and inspiring...
And Ezra Taft Benson never said that the Constitution will hang by a thread?
I don't think so, no.
Well, suppose I turned out to be saying something that's true. What would that say to you then?
I would think that maybe that's going to happen.
What is the United Order to you? Don't you believe, as a regular Mormon, that you're going to get a call one day...
Wait
and that the millennial reign of Christ is going to come?
Wait a minute, though. Let's not get off the topic.
No, this is the topic.
You look at the Constitution, and you look at the way people are eroding it, and the way liberalism is embarking on this society, and you tell me that we're not going to that end.
Do you believe, Eric, that the Constitution was inspired by God?
I do. I believe that our founding fathers were inspired by God, that God meant this country to be a beacon of freedom. I believe most conservatives believe that.
And what would Mormons...
I believe that if the truth is known, Judge Bork probably believes that.
And what would the Mormons do if they could be in total political power? And where is God going to set up his kingdom?
What?
Where is God going to set up his kingdom when Christ returns?
God's kingdom is not going to be any particular church, sir. Christ will be here. He will be the lawmaker.
Where physically will his capital be established in the United States?
I don't know.
Oh, come on now, Eric.
Wasn't Joseph Smith set apart as king of the earth?
I don't think so, no.
Did Brigham Young get set apart as king of the earth also?
I don't think so.
Well, you better do a little bit more studying.
You got any proof of that?
Well, only Mormon documents, and apparently they don't mean a whole lot to you.
Now, also, Bob, you got to remember one thing. You're talking here to an excommunicated Mormon, right?
So what does that make him?
What does that mean? What it means is that he knows that he has no choice to fault Mormonism because he knows if the church is true that he's eternally damned.
He's eternally damned.
Have you been excommunicated twice, sir?
No, I haven't. Is that one of the Mormon lies about me now?
I'm asking you.
Do you have documentation on that?
I'm asking. I'm not.
No, I'm asking you. Do you have documentation on that?
I never said I did.
If he's eternally damned, what am I? I not only have not left the church, I don't even want to get in it.
Well, you may have a chance someday, sir.
Oh, I get another chance the next time around?
Who knows, huh?
Does
no,
Hitler?
I have not been excommunicated twice. Who said I was?
I didn't say that you were.
Eric?
Just ask me that. Why do you ask me that? Are you a homosexual?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. I just asked it.
Eric?
I have a question.
Eric, I want to get something settled here.
Uh-huh.
I got a chance Ed's damned, right?
Right.
No, not necessarily.
Oh, not necessarily which?
He can still come back into the church, but I doubt that he will, and that's his free choice, and I respect that.
And if he doesn't, he's damned.
That's his choice. I ain't going to play his judge.
Well, you just told him a while ago he was damned. I want to make sure.
Anyone that has been excommunicated twice would be damned, but if he hasn't been, then he's not damned, no.
Well, according to Doctrine and Covenants 84, I'm damned.
I'll let you decide that.
Mark E. Peterson said that I'm a son of perdition in a state conference in my neighborhood, so, he knows or he's a false teacher and a liar.
Eric?
Uh-huh.
How is a man saved?
How is a man saved?
How is one saved?
Through accepting truth, which is the light of Christ, and accepting Christ and His truth, and laying His sins at the feet of our Savior Jesus Christ, sir.
And what about the only
and
true...
accepting baptism.
Oh,
I
and
did all those things recently.
Uh-huh.
And what about the only true restored church?
You've been a Mormon.
Eric,
you know what I believe about...
Eric, I'm not a Mormon. I'm asking you, Eric. What about the only true restored church? What church is that?
That's here right now.
What church is it?
Christ the Latter-day Saints.
And the rest of them?
They're not true, no.
And the rest of them, the Methodists and the Episcopalians and the Presbyterians and the
Good
Baptists?
organizations with a lot of good people that themselves the Lions Club, but there's no power to save anybody.
Good. I'm so glad that you said that, because all we're trying to do here, friend, is just say we in the Orthodox Christian body want to say that we have no relationship, we have no fellowship with Mormonism. Mormons want to continue to say, oh, we're part of the Christian body, and we're in the Christian body trying to say, no, you're not, because you believe in a different God, you have a different Christ, you have a different salvation, and you have esoteric occultic rituals that have no place except in the deification of Nimrod. We separate ourselves from you, and you keep saying and snuggling up to us and saying, no, we really are Christians, but of course we're the real Christians. And we're saying, no, you're not. Biblically, you're liars and deceivers.
We're talking about the subject of Mormonism today, and obviously, it is a hot time. All right, I have Donna on the line, Vancouver, British Columbia. Donna?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, that's a little... I can't talk. It's a weak line. I need you to speak up.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, okay. You're a Mormon?
Yes, I am.
Are you mad?
No, I'm not mad.
You're not? Where did I fail? Oh, come on, where did I fail here?
No, I'm not mad. I just like to know why, as a Christian, I know you're Christian, that you're putting us Mormons down when even in your advertisements you say, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another.
Well, I tell you what, I got Blaine Hunsucker here. Hi, Blaine.
Hi.
And you are the director of Saints Alive in Brigham City, Utah.
Right.
Yeah. Why are we putting Mormons down? I don't believe that's what we're doing, but she feels that way.
Well, let me tell you, I was a Mormon for 43 years, born right here in Utah, to a total Mormon background on both sides of the family, and most of my family are still Mormons. And they're dear, dear people, and we love them very, very much, and we never, ever put Mormons down. The reason we're bringing out the errors of Mormonism is because our dear Mormon brothers and sisters are brainwashed. Now, this dear sister thinks she is normal, and she can function, and she can do everything, and she can think, but she is brainwashed. The most common thing that people say when they come out of Mormonism after they've asked Jesus into their lives is, how could have I been so stupid as to believe all that Mormonism?
I want to thank Ed Decker, the Saints Alive folks, and everybody who's involved with him. If you are a Mormon or somebody who's investigating Mormonism and like to know more about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints from the perspective of ex-Mormons, we'd be happy to send you information on Saints Alive organization, some wonderful folks who deserve your support. Ed, please pass on my thanks. Ed's the director of Saints Alive, to Granny, Blaine, Bill, and all the rest of the folks for joining with us today, and we hope you have a great convention out there and everything goes well. Final quick comment, maybe 30 seconds?
Well, just God bless you. I think it's an exciting time, and I think that we need to have more opportunities like this to really discuss the truths of these things, and we have forums set up for that, and we just ask these Mormons to get involved.
Okay, Ed Decker, director of Saints Alive. Ed, we thank you for joining with us. And I repeat again what I said during the first hour. I don't have a vendetta against Mormons. This is a talk show, and because of that format, we get a little heated. We holler and yell around here once in a while. But the fact of the matter is, we are concerned about doctrinal purity, allegiance to the Holy Bible as God's Word. and following Jesus Christ as the only begotten Son of God, Creator God from eternity past, who is able to save unto the uttermost those who come unto God by him.
This is the end of the message. For further information regarding other topics available on cassette and in printed form, write Bob Larson Ministries, Box 36A, Denver, Colorado, 80236.